Hey guys, welcome to our video today on Bitcoin. I'm going to be analyzing the little push-up that we've got so far here today, talking about a couple different scenarios. Before I get started, of course, this isn't financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for managing your own trades and managing your own risk, doing your appropriate research. I'm just here giving my opinion on the market. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at things here. But at first, one thing I noticed is, looking through all of the viewers and everything on the channel, one thing I noticed is about half of you guys aren't subscribed. So make sure you click on that little subscribe button. We want to grow our subscriber base. I'm not going to ask you to, tick the alert button or anything like that. But just click on that subscribe button. We want to grow our user base here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at things here. Just, I want to compare what just happened. I want to compare that with what happened back in October, right? So the entire month of November basically was one big sell-off. We had our good push up, and then we had some consolidation, making people think that we were bullish. Finally, we broke down out of that trend, and I talk about support and resistance lines all the time. And I could do stuff like this all day long where we have this push up right here, which was just a retest of support. And then we have this push up right here, which was just a retest of support. And then this push up right here was a failed retest of previous support, which ended up being all the way up here. And then, as far as this push up goes, and the one that we currently have, you could also argue that this is also a retest of, a little bit of support that we have over here, but likely there's a larger cluster over to the left that we're not going to go back that far and analyze that. But one thing that I do notice that we are seeing here is, all right, first off, we were kind of taking a look at this support line right here. That was support right here, and then it became resistance, and then we had resistance again, and then resistance, and then we flew through it, and then that became support, and then we kind of fell through it again, and then we had basically a resistance cluster here. We kind of fell down. We retested this liquidity down here. I was expecting it could come down to 7,000. That didn't happen. So let's talk about why I thought we might go to 7,000. And let's also then talk about, where did we just land? Where did we land here? Why did it stop where it stopped? So if we take our top to the bottom, we went below the 50. We had a front run of the 618. This wasn't, and I'm on the Coinbase chart, so we shouldn't have any crazy spikes or wicks or anything like that. We didn't get to the 618, and we surpassed the 50. So what gives? All right, so let's just move this up here and take a look and see if there's anything technical at this level. We almost hit the 786 here, and as you can see here from the bottom of this move to the top of this move, doing a retrace, we had a good retest of the 620, it failed, and then we finally did fall through here, and we had this retest of the 786, which that was at about let's just get the precise reading on this. The low there was let's see here, 71.25, 7,080, and we're looking at 70.68. So that was a decent move here. So now what am I expecting off of this move? That's a good question. All right, so from this move here, this bottom to this swing, pulling back here, we were looking to see where we were targeting, and we only went up to beyond the 100, almost to the 123.6. Okay, so I'm not so concerned that this 4 is in yet. I've got that there currently because that's the high, but let's take a look at this. So we know that this is not an impulse. Not an impulse as in this is, going as a 1, 2, 3. This looks more like an A, B, C, okay? But this could be an ABC of just an A wave, which means that we really can go a little bit higher here. So let's talk about how that can happen and where things would likely go next. So what we're expecting here, and I'm just going to remove this, I will redraw this here in just a moment. So what we are kind of looking at here, a lot of people were looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagonal. It did look like that. But what I think this might actually be is just an A, and a B, and then this being an A, B, C up to this C, and which would mean that this 4 is likely going to be farther out here. And there's nothing wrong with this 4 being farther up here, because relative to our 1, it's all the way back here, so we still can go, a significant amount higher. So if that is an ABC of an A, then what we're looking at here is an A, a B, and a C down here, all right? And so what we've got here, I'm not sure if this is the A, and then we have kind of an expanded flat into the B, and then we go down into a C. And then what we now have, we have a good push up. So let's take a look and see here, because if we're looking at this from a higher degree, we're looking at the A up here, the B down here, and then we're looking to get this C on a higher degree. So let's go ahead and color this differently. We'll go ahead and color this in a nice yellow color. We're expecting the C to come in here, and as far as the timing of this goes, we're really not sure. But let's just take a look here and see. If we get our trend-based fib, if this was a 1 and we completed a 2, and then we're going into a 3, let's see where that target would be. So we've got this 1. We're coming down for the 2. The target for a 3, all right, so let's just put this into perspective. The target for a 3 would be $9,300. If we go up to $9,300, this is definitely not an ABC anymore. This would be a 1, 2, 3. Then we'd be coming down for the 4, maybe 8,800. Then we'd go up higher. I don't think that that's in the cards right now. I don't think that that is likely what is going to happen here. I do think that we are going to be going a little bit lower, but I think that likely there's going to be a little bit more upside in the short term. And by the short term, I'm talking days, not hours. Although it could very well happen within hours, I'm just basically saying that I do think that there is a little bit more upside here based on the structure that we broke. Okay, and this structure, I'm just going to move this trend line just a little bit here, because I think the more important level is this one right here, which is at about 74.40, 74.50. Right now we're at 74.73. We're testing this level right now. I would say if we close below this, then likely this was done. Although, really our target should be about 79.25. Potentially up here, and this lines up very nicely, just by the way, at 84.50. So this lines up very nicely. I'm going to say that my high probability target for this move is going to be 84.50. So even from where we're at right now, I say that we do have a little bit more upside ahead of us, and it looks like we are getting some defense here at this level, which is at 74.40 or so. If we close below this, if we close an hourly below this, that's not looking good. But I would say that basically from what I can see here, this move, and we've seen moves like this happen all the time, right? Where we come down, we curl, and then we move up higher. And like right here, we come down, we curl, and then we move up higher. You could argue that this is similar. We come down, it really didn't curl, it just spiked and it went up higher. So these are the kinds of things that we do see pretty often, more often than not. But this also can happen in the opposite direction, where we go up, we curl, and then we go lower, right? So these are things that we do see, and but we do look like we are getting a little bit of defense here at the 74.40 mark. If you are not in Bitcoin and you're sitting in Tether, I would say that a buy here at 74.40 could likely work out pretty well in the short term at least. Your stop loss, give yourself about a 1% gap here, coming down to this level. If we do come down here, likely things are going to be continuing to the downside. But as far as an upside target, again, we're looking at that level at 84.40, take profit along the way. So this is still a 13% move from basically where we're at right now. So still possibility for some upside. I do tend to continue to lean bearish. If I go to a 3-hour chart here and just take a look at this, I would say that our downside target is still going to be somewhere along the lines of this 5,800 mark. I'm still looking at 5,800, but we stopped at the 382, which is, if I'm a bear, if I'm a bear with no optimism in the market, and I think that Bitcoin is going to zero, I would take a look at this and I would say, all right, well, this move from this 2 to this 3 had a stop at the 382. And it's just that doesn't look good, right? So on a wave 4, which I'm kind of expecting that we are in, you really want this to stop at the 382. You want this to stop at the 50. You don't want this to go to the 618, although it is possible for it to. Having this stop, along the way here is likely. So I would say this trade is risky, but if you're an optimist, I do think that there is some more upside. But ultimately, I do think that we are going to continue to go down, but we're just going to have to, keep an eye on this as it goes. And especially if we take out this high here, which is at 77.80 or so. This level is also pretty important on a number of fronts. Going all the way back here where we had our resistance or support, and then now that has become resistance since we've been clustering below this. Taking a look at this from a 4-hour time frame, the consolidation that is happening down here. You could argue that this does look bullish. You could argue that we had the head and shoulders, but I could argue that that head and shoulders has already played out, especially since we rolled over. And now what we are in the middle of creating potentially is a totally different set of head and shoulders where we come down deeper, and then we could come back up here to 7,800, then we come down to 7,000, and then we can go higher. That still remains to be seen. I'm not convinced that we have to go lower, but I do have some optimism that we do have a little bit of higher prices in our short-term future. I still remember back when I did a video back here and I said that, we had a failed test of this level, and so we were going to continue to go down, and I was wrong there. Obviously, we had a humongous pump that really nobody was expecting. At least nobody in the real world was expecting, and then we completely retraced that and then some. So that's pretty bearish to begin with. If we take a look at this from like a 12-hour time frame, as I was talking before, we go up, we curl, and we go down lower. We go up, we curl, we go down lower, right? So that is currently the trend. We get a good push up, we start to curl, and we go down lower. If this starts to happen where we're at right now, so if we start to see this move up and we start to curl even just a little bit, then I think I'm right, and I think we're going to go down lower. But if we start to hold some of these prices, especially if we close above, if we close above 8,400, this is an important level for us to get to and hold this 8,400 mark. So let's just take a look and see how important this is. And one reason why this is resistance. So this is resistance because we had resistance, and I can pull this back even farther. So we have a good range here to pay attention to. We had our support and resistance cluster here. We had resistance. We pushed up above, then we failed, and it became resistance. We had a front run of resistance. Then over here, after we pushed through this, then right here we have basically the same deal. We have support. While it is possible that we do push up a little bit higher up here to about 86 to 86.50, I think this 84.50 is going to be, pretty important for us to push through 8,300, 8,200. These levels, definitely be considering taking profit at here if you are looking to buy here at the 74. 50 to 7,500 range. Be careful with your buys. I talk about this all the time. Just be very careful. Limit your exposure. You're exposing yourself to 1% loss for your potential 13% gain. In my opinion, that's worth it. That's worth it. And even if it's at your favor, don't be afraid to take profit, right? Because it is possible we don't get up this high. As far as the geometry goes, right? As far as the geometry goes, this looks pretty good for a move, up and then a retrace, and then let's take this up again. Following the same structure, we're looking at the next 4 days. So we're talking about like the weekend when we hit this high. Then we're going to be looking for this this move down here. We've got a 1, a 2. We're going to be looking for this 3, and then a 4, and then we're going to come down. And likely what this is looking to be, right? I'm not saying that this is to be, but what this looks like is going to happen is we're going to get our hopes up, and then we're going to basically get them crushed. And it's going to look probably like around Christmas time where we're going to get this move to the downside. So I don't want to compress this too much, but it is very possible that we do get a move similar to this right here. Probably will come a little bit lower. Then we'll try and push above that newfound support, which will then become resistance. We come down here, we get another bottom on this, and then we push up, maybe consolidate down here, do a bear flag. This would prove this as resistance right here. So likely this could come up just a little bit higher. And then we get that final leg down. And again, this is going to be coming in 5 waves, 3 waves, 5 waves, 3 waves, and finally 5 waves. So this is kind of what I'm expecting to see on Bitcoin over the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks. I am optimistic here short term, but midterm I am a pessimist. And then long term, I am optimistic. So I do think that once we get down here, this will finish our final wave down. And now let me go ahead and outline this here. So we've got this move down here. We've got our C wave completed here, and then of course we have our final Y wave coming down here, and this is also, if we go to the daily time frame, we can see where this is also coming from. So we have our W, which W could be here, the W could be down here. We have a wedge into the X, and then we have an A, a B, and then a C down here into the Y, which is that going to be 5,800? Let me just say one moment here what I think is happening. What I think is happening, right? Because I know a lot of you guys have tethered out and you're waiting. So people are waiting for this price to come down here, and these things they will take time. We get fake outs all the time. We had a nice push up. We had a nice push up, and now what's going to happen? Are we going to fully retrace that again, and then we basically are going to continue to roll over and roll down? Well, basically what just happened is, I was saying yesterday on the Discord, I was like, yeah, I still think we're going to come down to 7,000 or so. We didn't quite get there, right? We got to 7,080 or so. But if you had bids between 7,000 and 7,100, you got filled, right? And now we have this push up. So now people are asking, all right. So I'm missing out. I'm missing out on this push up, so I need to get in. All right. Well, now we're to the point where we have a risky trade in front of us, much riskier than what we had down here. So what we had down here, you did have to have, some cojones to hit the buy button, because what it looked like, yeah, we just broke down, we broke trend, and now we are, now we're going to just keep going down, right? Well, then what just happened there was, okay, well, now we had a good push up, and now everybody's like, oh, well, I just missed the boat, so I better go ahead and buy in now. Well, what happens here is down here is where I'll refer to as smart money. You can call it whatever you'd like. Smart money buys down here. After it pushes down, we get some bullish divergence, which I haven't taken a look at any divergence indicators, but we push down, we get some bullish divergence more than likely. Smart money buys in, and then we get this crazy push up here to 7,800, which, by the way, is not a new high yet. All right, and then we have basically almost a 50% retrace of that move, although we are finding support here currently, which is a good sign. It's a good sign that we're finding support here. And then I do think that we likely will go a little bit higher, but this is a much riskier trade, right? This is where not smart money decides, okay, well, I need to FOMO in to a position after we just retraced a candle, 50%. I say you've got time to figure out if you want to take this trade. I don't think it's going to happen in the next, in the next hour or two. I do think that there is going to be some time for this to happen. If we go all the way back here to where we had this push up, let's just take a look for comparison purposes. When we had this candle back here, this hourly candle didn't retrace as much as we just did, right? So this retraced maybe 30%. And so, if this were comparable to right now, we would have retraced to, about down here. But we kept it, and then the next candle was green, the next candle was green, the next candle was green. We had consecutive green candles after that. And right now we're not getting that. So that's why I'm a little pessimistic, because this candle closes in 30 seconds and it's going to close red. And that doesn't mean that all hope is lost. That simply just means it's not a fractal compared to what we saw on October 25th. I think it was the 25th. So we're not seeing a green candle. We're not seeing follow through on this green move up. We saw follow through back here where we had a good green candle, then a green candle, then a green candle consolidation, then boom. Okay. But right now, this candle just closed. It closed red. I would say continue to watch this. If we close above 7,500, if we close this next hourly above 7,500, I would say it's a little safer. I think right now it's a little risky. We're going to be bouncing around up in this range. I would say that the trading range is currently defined as this right here. Let me get my channel here. We're going to be looking right here, and we're going to go down to about right here. This is basically our channel. Although I do have the P&L showing a buy here at about 74.40, I do think that it is very likely that we come back down here to 7,400. Likely we'll be able to get a better entry there and limit your risk a little bit more, but your rate of return is still going to be, looking to be at about, what did I say, 13% or so. So it is, yeah, 13.42%. Likely if you get down here at 7,400, you would be able to get a better play off of that. So the question here in the YouTube chat is, how soon can we see a bull run like 2017? Honestly, I say we've got 2 to 3 years. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen obviously in 2019. I actually don't think it's going to happen in 2020. Probably, a bull run like we had in 2017 is likely going to happen in 2021. I really believe that. Yeah, I know the halving is happening in, about 6 months from now. And so that likely will cause some kind of a sell-off because everybody's going to be buying into that. That'll cause a sell-off, and that sell-off is when smart money will be interested in buying. Not to say that we're not going to see a crazy markup on prices between now and 2021. I'm simply saying that we're not going to have a parabolic move until probably 2021. So that's what I've got right now on Bitcoin. Of course, if there are any questions or anything, feel free to relay those in the Discord. If you need an invite to the Discord, just shoot me a chat here in YouTube, and I'll make sure I can get that for you. But thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If there's any asset that you would like for me to look at, be more than happy to look at that for you. Otherwise, wherever you are in the world, hopefully you're having a fantastic day.